Hello, welcome back to the True Crime Lounge podcast. I do have a YouTube channel that you can go check out as well. I also have a Patreon that you can join if you would like. By joining, you will receive early access to season and mini-series episodes. I also have a merch shop that you can go and look at as well. Now, for any updates, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, let's dive into today's episode on the True Crime Lounge. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. for episode 6 of season 3. Hard to believe. So why does this name sound familiar? Well, if you know the case of the Golden State Killer, then you know the name. One of my favorite things about this case is the daughter knew he was the Golden State Killer. She was able to piece all the information together. And she would even go on to say that when she remembered when she was in the car and she got the call and called up to Detective Garcia and asked about the DNA match. And he said there was no mistake, it was a match. She would also say, and I literally went into a panic attack or anxiety attack. Had to pull off the side of the road. And then when it really hit me that all the suspicions I had about my father were true. Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. is an American serial killer, serial rapist, burglar, and former police officer, and a former mechanic, who committed at least 13 murders, 51 rapes, 120 burglaries across California between 1974 and 1986. He was responsible for 3 separate crime sprees across the state, each with spawned of different nicknames in the press, and this was before it became evident that they were dealing with the same person. In the San Joaquin Valley, he was known as the Visalia Ransacker before moving to the Sacramento area. While there, he became known as the East Area Rapist and was linked by MO to additional attacks in Stockton, Modesto, and Central Contra Costa County. He committed serial murders in Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Orange counties, and this is where he was known as the Night Stalker. Later, it was called the original Night Stalker, so it would not get confused with Richard Ramirez, which I recently did an episode on that. You can go and check it out. I want to say it's either episode 3 or 4. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But I am curious. I wonder if serial killers just randomly come across each other and not realize who they were, or they do know, and they're just like, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" and stuff like that. But anyway, he is believed to have haunted and threatened both victims and the police via odd-scene phone calls and possibly written communication. During a decades-long investigation, several suspects were cleared through DNA evidence, alibis, or other investigative motives. In 2001, after DNA testing indicated the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker were the same person, the combined acronym came into use. In the case of factor established by California's DNA database to collect, and this collects from all accused and convicts felons in California. And he has been called the second only to Virginia's Sorry y'all, I've been doing schoolwork all day, so I am dead tired. I'm trying to get this episode in, so when it does come out, it'll be in February, but still, I know it's months ahead, but I have to do this and would keep up my school schedule. But anyway. Okay, sorry, I lost my place there for a minute. He has been called the second only to Virginia's effectiveness in solving cold cases. And, in an attempt to increase awareness, Michelle McNamara, a crime writer, coined the name the Golden State Killer. On June 15, 2016, the FBI and local law enforcement held a news conference where they announced a renewed nationwide effort offering a $50,000 reward for the capture. On April 24, 2018, California authorities would search 72-year-old DeAngelo would charge him with 8 counts of first-degree murders based on the DNA evidence that investigators identified members of his family through forensic genetic genealogy. This was the first announcement connecting the Visalia ransacker case to DeAngelo. Owing a California statute of limitations of a pre-2017 rape case, he would not be charged with the rapes he committed in the 70s. However, he would be charged in the August 2018 with 13 related kidnapping and abduction attempts. On June 29, 2020, he pled guilty to multiple counts of murder and kidnapping, and this was part of the plea bargain that he had formerly been charged with. On August 24th, 2020, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, about his early life, what do we know about that? Well, he was born on November 8, 1945 in Bath, New York, to Kathleen Louise K, as most will call her, DeGroat, June 30th, who was born June 30th, 1923, and Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., who was born January 19th, 1920. His dad was a sergeant in the U.S. Army, and he had 2 older sisters, Connie and Rebecca, a younger brother, John. A relative reported that DeAngelo was a young child, and he witnessed the rape of Connie by 2 airmen in a warehouse in West Germany, when the family was stationed at the time. Following his convictions, Rebecca claimed that he was abused by their father while growing up. So between 1959 and 1960, he attended Mills Junior High in Rancho Cordova, California. Beginning in 1961, he attended Folsom High School, from which he received his GED certificate in 1964. He played on the school's junior varsity team, and prosecutors reported that he committed burglaries and tortured and killed animals during the years. DeAngelo joined the U.S. Navy in September 1964 and served for 22 months during the Vietnam War, and as a damage control man on the cruiser USS Canberra. In the destroyer tender, the USS Piedmont. Beginning in August 1968, he attended Sierra College in Rocklin, California. He graduated with an associate's in police science, even though that was a thing, with honors, and he attended Sacramento State in 1971, where he earned his degree in criminal justice. He then took later postgraduate courses to further training at the College of Sequoia in Visalia, completed a 32-week police internship at the police department at Roseville. Thinking of Rosedale, Georgia for a second. Anyway, from May 1973 to August 1976, DeAngelo was a burglar unit officer in Exeter, having relocated to Citrus Heights. He then served in Auburn, August 1976 to July 1979. While he was arrested for shoplifting and a hammer and dog repellent, he was sentenced to 6 months probation and fired that October. During the process of being fired, he threatened to kill the chief of police and allegedly stalked the chief's home. So, in May 1970, he became engaged to a nursing student by the name of Bonnie Jean Caldwell, a classmate at Sierra College, but she broke it off in 1971, and he became manipulative and abusive, culminating in the demand that she helped him cheat on a normal psychology test. And after the breakup, he attempted to force her to marry her again by threatening with a gun. Yeah, I know. In November 1973, he married Sharon Marie Huddle of Citrus Heights. The wedding was held in Auburn's First Congregational Church. In 1980, he then purchased a house in Citrus Heights, where he eventually was arrested decades later. And Hale became a divorce attorney in 1982, and they had 3 daughters. 2 of them were born in Sacramento and 1 in Los Angeles. The couple separated in July 2018. Several months after his arrest, Hale filed for divorce, which was finalized the following year. He committed most of the offense while he was married and raising a family. Neither his wife nor children never suspected he was committed serious crime. His eldest daughter claimed he was the perfect father, while his wife believed he was a dishonest reason for leaving home. So, his employment history during the 80s is unknown, but from 1990 until his retirement in 2017, he began working as a truck mechanic at Save Mart Supermarket's distribution center in Roseville. He was arrested in 1996 for failure to pay for gas, but the charge was dismissed. So DeAngelo's brother-in-law claimed that he was casually bringing up the East Area rapist in conversation around the same time of the original crimes. Neighbors also reported that he would frequently engage in loud profane outbursts. One neighbor reported that his families received a phone message from DeAngelo threatening to deliver a loaded death because of his their barking dog. He was living with a daughter and granddaughter at the time of his arrest. So DNA evidence would link DeAngelo to 8 murders in Goleta, Ventura, Dana Point, and Irvine, 2 other murders in Goleta. Lacking DNA evidence were linked by his MO. DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 3 murders, 2 in Rancho Cordova and 1 in Visalia, and he also committed more than 50 known rapes in the California counties of Sacramento, Contra Costa, Stanislaus, San Joaquin, Alameda, Santa Clara, and Yolo County. Imagine being from there. It's like, so what county are you from? Yolo. Like, no, what county? It's like, Yolo. Anyway, back to my attempt at a dry sense of humor. He was linked to hundreds of incidents of thefts, burglaries, and vandalisms, peeping, stalking, and prowling. It was suspected that the training ground of the criminal who became the East Area rapist was Visalia. Although earlier Visalia crimes dating back to 1973 and other sprees, like the Cordova cat burglar and the extra ransacker, as well as the Visalia burglaries, took place after the McGowan shooting that and now suspected linked over a period of 20 months. DeAngelo is believed to have been responsible for 1 murder and around 120 burglaries. In the late April 2018, the Visalia Chief of Police stated that while there was no DNA linking DeAngelo to the Central Valley cases, he had other evidence that played a role in the investigation, and he was confident that Visalia ransacker had been captured. Though the statute of limitations for the burglaries had expired, he was formally charged August 13, 2018, with the first degree of Claude Snelling in 1975. In 2020, he would plead not guilty to the Snelling murder. So the first ransacking murder occurred March 19, 1974, with a sum of $50 in coins that was stolen from a piggy bank. Many of these activities involved breaking into houses, rifling through and vandalizing the owner's possessions, scattering women's underclothes, and stealing a range of low-value items. While often ignoring banknotes and higher-value items in plain sight. The ramsacker would also often arrange a display of items around the house. He emptied the piggy banks and coin jars, and stolen items often identified as the blue chip stamps, foreign and historic coins, and personal items. Multiple same days were common as well, including 12 separate incidents on November 30th, 1974. These common characteristics include climbing fences and moving through established routes such as parks, walkways, ditches, trails, attempting to pry open multiple points of the entry and windows and leaving multiple points of an escape open. Briefly, specifically windows as well as the house, garage, and garden doors. Move and remove the estates, such as dishes and bottles against. On September 11, 1975, he broke into the home of Claude Snelling, who was 45, and Snelling was a journalism professor at the College of the Sequoias and had previously chased a prowler discovered under his daughter's window under 10 p.m. on February 5, 1975. On September 11, he was awakened around 2 o'clock by strange noises. Upon leaving the bedroom, Snelling ran through the open back and confronted the ski mask intruder in his carport, attempting to kidnap his daughter, who had been subdued with threats of being stabbed or shot. Snelling arrested and shot twice, staggered back into the house to his wife, and later died. After the shooting, the assailant fled the scene, leaving behind a stolen bicycle. After the murder, Beth Snelling, 16, underwent hypnosis in order to gain further details. The Visalia police also committed more resources to apprehending the ramsacker, and a $4,000 reward was posted. Around 8:30 on December 12, 1975, a masked man went into the backyard at a different house in Ramsacker, and when the ramsacker had been reported to when the detective William McGowan attempted to detain the man, the suspect shrieked, removed the mask, and feigned surrender after McGowan fired a warning shot. However, jumping a fence to the house at 1501, he also pulled a revolver with his left hand and fired once at McGowan's face, shattering his flashlight. Nearby officers rushed to aid McGowan, and the shooter was able to escape. Items collected as evidence included flashlight, tennis shoe tracks, and drop loot named the blue chip stamps and stock of coins. So what about the East Area rapist? Well, DeAngelo moved to Sacramento in 1976, where his crimes escalated from burglary to rape. These crimes initially centered on the then unincorporated areas of the Carmichael Citrus Lab in Rancho Cordova, east of Sacramento. His initial MO was to stalk middle-class neighborhoods at night in search of women who were alone in one-story homes, usually near a school, creek, trail, other open space that would provide quick escape. He was seen a number of times but always successfully fled. But on one occasion, he shot and seriously wounded a young pursuer. There was various sketches of the East Area rapist. There was one with a sketch of two young men, one with a mustache. There was sketches of two suspects in the Magador murders. So what about the original Night Stalker? Well, Shortly after the rapes committed July 5, 1979, DeAngelo moved to Southern California and began killing his victims, first striking the Santa Barbara County in October. The attacks lasted until 1981 and was a lone 1986 attack. And then the couple in the first attack survived, alerting neighbors, forcing the intruder to flee. The other victims were murdered, gunshot, and bludgeoning. Since DeAngelo was not linked to these crimes, he was also known as the Night Stalker in the area, before being renamed to the original Night Stalker after Ramirez. So on October 1st, an intruder broke into the and tied up Goleta couple, armed with him, hearing them say, I'll kill him to myself. The man and woman tried to escape and left the room, and the woman screamed, realizing that the alarm had been raised. The intruder fled under a bicycle. A neighbor, who was an FBI agent, responded to the noise, pursued the perpetrator, and he abandoned the bicycle and a knife and escaped on foot through local backyards. The attack was linked to Offerman Manning murders by shoe print entwined with two of the victims. On December 30th, 44-year-old Robert Offerman, 35-year-old Deborah Manning was found shot to death at Offerman's condominium in Goleta. Offerman's bindings were untied, indicating that he had launched the attacker. Neighbors had heard gunshots. Paw prints of the large dogs were found, and leading up to speculation that the killer may have brought one with him. And the killer was also broken with a vacant adjoining residence, stolen a bicycle, and later abandoned on the street north of the scene from the third residence in the complex. In 1980, on March 13th, 33-year-old Charlene Smith and 43-year-old Lyman Smith were found murdered in the Ventura home, with Charlene, who had been raped, and a log from a wood pile in the side of the house was used to bludgeon the victims. Their wrists and their ankles had been bound with drapery cord. Oh. An unusual Chinese knot. A diamond knot was used for Charlene's wrist. In 1981, on February 6, 28-year-old Manuela Woltman was raped and murdered in her Irvin home. On July 27, 35-year-old Sherry Domingo and 27-year-old Gregory Sanchez became the 10th and 11th victims. In 1986, on May 4th, 18-year-old Janelle Lisa Cruz was found after she was raped and bludgeoned in her Irvin home, and her family was on vacation in Mexico at the time of the attack. There has been other possible suspects too linking him, but some of them can't be charged because there is a statute of limitations. So what about the communications? Well, there was a reverse on the word punishment was scrawled across the page, and during the investigation of the Danville at the 42nd attack, investigators discovered 3 sheets of notebook paper with suspicion of vehicle had been reportedly parked. They believed that the pages were dropped accidentally. The second sheet contained a journal entry. Then there was the "I'm the East Side rapist," in which police did disregard it as a prank. That's the thing. So, talk about irony right there. But before officially connecting the original Night Stalker to the East Area Rapist in 2001, some law enforcement officials sought to link the Goleta cases as well. And on June 15th, 2016, the FBI released further information related to the crimes, including new composite sketches and more details. So the identification of DeAngelo began in December 2017 when officials led by Detective Paul Hulse and FBI lawyer Steve Kramer uploaded a killer's DNA profile. And on August 18th, 2018, the DNA sample was collected from the door handle of DeAngelo's car, and they got their guy. But no, it's crazy. Like, he told him, and they did not believe him. His daughter was able to connect the pieces. Like, that's very smart right there. But that's it for today's episode. I will see y'all next time, and y'all have a great day and a happy night.